Hey guys and girls, it's FoxGreen back again today with another awesome review video, and this time today we're going to be looking at the Runcam ScopeCam Plus. Now I was lucky enough for Runcam to give me one of the first ever versions of this camera, and I've actually been able to trial and test it over the last few weeks. So this video is going to be very detailed, and I'm also going to be showing you some gameplay straight from this camera, which is going to be really nice. So you'll be able to see if it's the best buy for you or not. And before we get into the main review, just a few little nice things to note about this camera if you decide to purchase it. You have a 30-day money back guarantee, a 90-day replacement and a 1-year warranty. So it's really decent out of the box. So Runcam are giving you some nice little warranties there on the camera if you decide to go with them. So let's get stuck into the unboxing first. Okay, so now we're going to go into the unboxing. Now, just to let you know, I have used this camera already. I've already unboxed it, but I'm just going to do this again for the purposes of this video. Really nice box. Really big box, you might notice. Some of the specs there on the side. Camera ScopeCam Plus. 40 by zoom lens. 2.7K at 60 FPS recording. Let's get this bad boy open. Oh, I love these type boxes. Check it out. Very premium box. You gotta enjoy that. So okay, straight away you can see we've got our ScopeCam user manual, and it goes through a lot of the functionality, obviously all the different meaning of all the different lights, how to pair it up with your smartphone and all that. But as you'll see, that won't be as important in this one as it would have been on the older cameras, which don't actually have a screen. So you can see here I've got a cable. This is type C, and this is actually used for button recording if you want to turn on and off your camera, which is really nice. So put that to one side. Then we got the main camera itself, as you can see, and you can see mine is a little bit damaged because I have used it in game, but other than that it's pretty much perfect. We've got a typical type C charging cable, really nice. Great to see type C on all these bits and pieces. And then we also have a Picatinny mount for your scope barrel with a smaller size ring in there, just in case the turret on your scope is a little bit smaller. So that's really good. And have we got anything else? Yeah, we have got an Allen key to adjust that and to tighten this scope camera actually onto it. So that's really nice. Now as you can see straight away, that's a very big camera, and if I was to compare it to the Runcam ScopeCam 2, you can see it here. And I'll also show you some comparisons on a gun. But yeah, it's a big camera, but look, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It is noticeably heavier, but it is packed with a lot more than Runcam have ever put in a camera before. Some could say that this is actually a proper video camera now with some of the features it has. So now let's look at this camera's main features. So now we're going to talk about the features of this camera. As you can see, it's in an all metal or aluminium housing, which is really nice. It comes with ScopeCam on both sides, but it's also got this lovely little flip up lens cover, which is nice. Now just to note, it comes with Gorilla Glass on the front here. However, I've already used this in game, and you can see I've got some nicks and dents on it, but my Gorilla Glass actually fell out. I've lost it. So I've just got my lens in there, so that's not ideal. And also when I was running this in game, I actually took this little lens cap off, because if I run this down below my scope, this flips up and blocks my scope. There's no Gorilla Glass as far as I know on this back screen, so protecting that might be an issue. Runcam don't actually tell you whether it is or not, but I'm assuming by looking at it that it's not. Also, strangely enough, it doesn't mention whether this is IP rated, unlike the Runcam 2, which is IP64 rated. And from looking at this, I would say it's not, because I can see some noticeable gaps around the Type C charging port that seem to lead inside. Especially when I turn the camera on, I can actually see light coming from within here. So I would not think that that is fully waterproof, so just FYI on that. With that said though, it does look overall pretty well sealed, and you'll probably get away with light rain, no issues at all. You can see we have a Picatinny mount on the bottom. One thing that's a little bit disappointing here is it takes 2 Allen keys to adjust it, and you cannot take it off in the field automatically like you could on the ScopeCam 2. I find this a really nice feature, the way you can actually, you don't need any tools or Allen keys to take this on and off. So it's a pity about that. But they did something very smart, and that is this adjustable mount. So as you note here, there's an Allen key here, and this acts like a hinge, allowing you to actually move the scope cam up and down for those fine adjustments. This is a really, really good idea. I would love to see a mount that also allowed slight side-to-side movement, so you could center your camera almost perfectly. That would be really, really nice. Now this lens cap kind of annoys me, so I take it off. I don't use it at all. It's not something I need. Most noticeable difference, almost like a GoPro, is that obviously there is a 1.3-inch screen on the back, which actually has pretty decent resolution. You also have this lovely dust flap for protecting the SD card inside. Overall, this is about 115 grams, and it's at 130 millimeters by 48 by 43. Now, if you compare that to the ScopeCam 2, that's a massive, massive difference. The Runcam ScopeCam 2 averages at about 150 grams, so that's about half that. And it's only 112 by 32 by 36 millimeters in size. So yeah, this camera is definitely the big brother and is a lot larger. This also comes with a good deal more buttons. As you can see here on top, we've got power on button, which will turn it on without recording. We've also got the usual slider recording function. So if I slide this, whatever settings it's set to, it'll just start recording. And we've also got kind of menu buttons, but these also act as zoom buttons, which can be used while it's recording. So while recording, you can zoom in further, which is really, really nice. Now on the front of this too, it'll actually come with Gorilla Glass. However, because I've gamed mine a few times, mine has actually fallen out. It took a hit and just popped out. I didn't notice it in game, unfortunately, so hopefully when these are out for the public, they'll be well secured in there and won't be susceptible to falling out. That means my actual lens here is exposed, but it looks like very thick glass. But let's hoping it doesn't get shot out. Now I could easily make a replacement lens for that again, but yeah, it's just worth noting mine did fall out after like 2 or 3 games, so that's a little bit of a pity. So it's also worth noting, if you have this zoomed in and you turn the camera off, that next time you turn it back on, it'll remember your settings and it'll zoom back into where you last left it, which is really, really nice. So now we're going to get a nice up close on this camera and we're going to look at the specs. Now, this camera will do anywhere from 5 meters up to 150 meters. So that's focal length of 5 millimeters to 50 millimeters. This means this camera is perfect for all types of footage. Ultra CQB or really, really far sniping. I mean like 5 joule sniping. And the focus is really, really good. So this lens in here really does its job. The camera shoots in 2.7K at 60 FPS, and it can do that in a 16:9 ratio or 4:3 ratio, and the video format is MP4. With this flashback cable, if it's plugged in, you can turn the flashback on, and what this means is if you have it enabled and you click this button, it will actually record 15 seconds earlier. So it means if you are turning this camera on and off, not that you need to, as I'll explain in a while, it means that it can roll back the time 15 seconds ago. So it's always filming in the background, but not quite saving it. So if you click the button, you get 15 seconds earlier, which is really, really nice. And if you click it again, you get 15 seconds after. So it's a really smart feature, but as I was mentioning, you don't really need that because this is a 6-hour battery life. Now, I did game this in the field and I have some footage of that coming up, but I use this all day and I swear to God, I had about 70% battery. I was blown away. The best bit is it's got 10 by optical zoom, which means that's not going to affect the image quality at all, but it's got an additional 4 by digital zoom on top of that, which naturally enough will reduce the quality. Now, I don't see how you're going to need the digital zoom at all. The 1 to 10 times optical zoom seems plenty and it's really, really good. Focus is perfect at each level, so I'm very impressed with it overall. Now the SD cards you put in this, it won't take bigger than 128 gigs, so don't be putting in 256 gig, and make sure they're U30 class 10 cards made for high definition footage. A lot of people go wrong with these cameras because you're shooting in high definition footage and they use a crappy card and the card corrupts the file and doesn't come out. So just make sure you're putting a very good SD card in this and it's not bigger than 128 gig. It would be nice if this could take 256 gig because you know it can run for such a long time on the battery. So the first thing that's going to give up on this is always going to be your SD card and not the actual battery on the camera. Now you also can connect this to your phone app and it allows you to do some extra little features, but mostly everything you need you can access from the camera directly. Now the thing everyone wants to know, can you zoom in and out while you're recording? Absolutely you can. You can zoom it in and out without having to stop recording at all, which is just perfect, and that's what a lot of people will want to know. Test. 1 by zoom. 2 by zoom. 3 by zoom. 4 by zoom. 5 by zoom. 6 by zoom. 7 by zoom. 8 by zoom. 9 by zoom. 10 by zoom. That's all the optical zooms. Now it's the digital zoom options. Digital zoom 1. Digital zoom 2. And digital zoom 3. Okay, so now we're going to look at the mobile app for this camera. So if you want to configure the camera fully, that means like adjust things like EV compensation, saturation, sharpness, ISO settings, and all that good stuff like metering, aspect ratio. Well, then you need to go into the mobile app, generally speaking. So to enter the Wi-Fi mode, I'm going to again press and hold the button to turn on the camera. Press and hold again. And I'll go to Wi-Fi mode. So once I'm in Wi-Fi mode, I will then go to my phone app. So then I'll go to my phone app. I'll open up the Runcam app. It'll bring up my Wi-Fi. I select the camera. Then I press back and you'll see it's configuring and connecting to the camera. And then I have all my features here, which I didn't have in the camera itself, which is exposure and all that. Generally, I leave everything the same, bar I might turn EV down slightly to 0.3. Just gets rid of that washout look, and I've set my metering to center weighted. Everything else other than that, I can also set my resolution here to 2.7K by that. Although I think I'll leave it at what it was at, 16:9 aspect ratio. And that's basically it. You can do all the other usual stuff in here if you'd like, but yeah, you've got flashback mode on and off there, and yeah, a few other little bits, but other than that, you can do 90% of what you need to do in the camera itself. So that's good to know. Now, when it's shut off, if I want to enter recording mode, I can simply do that by just pressing the slider forward like that. And that's the quick way to start recording. And you can see it zooms out to where I had it last, which was at 1x zoom. Now, say I zoom in, which I'm doing while recording here, which is really, really nice. And then so it's set to 5x zoom. Say I turn that slider off. Will it remember my zoom the next time automatically? So let's just try that. So if I zoom it back in, and you see, yep, it's going to 5x zoom. So it has memory, which is really, really nice. Oddly enough, there is some effects in there too. You can turn your footage to like black and white and loads of different weird other effects. Again, I don't see the point for having that, but anyway, it's nice that Runcam are adding more and more features to the cameras, which kind of justifies the bigger price tag on this camera. So now we're going to go over to some gameplay, and I'm going to show you the footage both in a CQB scenario and more in a longer range scenario to show you how this camera operates, which I think you'll really, really enjoy.
Come over to get the bathroom.
Okay, now we're coming to the end of the review video, and I want to quickly go over what I like and what I dislike. So we're first of all going to start with the important one, what I dislike about this camera or what I would change. The size is big, but again, it has the capability to work super close or super long range. That means that there's a lens in here that's moving optically. So naturally, like a camcorder, it has to be a lot bigger. And again, the battery's also taking up a massive pile of room in there. Are the trade-offs for how it functions and how long it lasts worth it though? I think absolutely. I am a little bit disappointed, I must say, that it has no IP rating. The fact that the Runcam ScopeCam 2 is nearly half the price, and it does, it's just disappointing that they didn't bring that feature over. I think that's something they could easily have done, seeing as the outer body of this is similar to Runcam ScopeCam 2. The buttons are and all that. So that's a little bit disappointing. The Gorilla Glass also for me, because it fell out, was a bit of an issue. Now I'm sure Runcam is going to fix that on the models that are coming out. But it is nice that they do include it there. The only problem I have is there's no Gorilla Glass over this glass on the back. And as this isn't touchscreen, I don't see why they didn't do that. Because if that takes a hit, that's going to break. And I've seen when these screens break on GoPros, the dye can leach out into the inside of the camera and break it. So I would be recommending people put a little bit of Perspex over this just to protect it, unless it's going to be against something where a BB physically can't hit it. Where a BB physically can't hit it. The other small little pet peeve I have about this camera is that it cannot take a 265 gigabit SD card. With such a long battery lifetime, I feel like they really should have upgraded its capability to take bigger SD cards. so it would be a completely worryless camera in the field that you just wouldn't have to touch for all scenarios. But as it stands, you'll be changing out the SD card in this long before you'll have to change out the battery. So next time Runcam might upgrade that, but for now it doesn't come with that feature. And finally, the last thing that annoyed me was that it didn't have the hand tightening tool, which the ScopeCam 2 does, as you can see here. So if you need to take this off for whatever reason in the field, which I have in the past needed to do, you won't be able to do it unless you're carrying that little Allen key with you. So I just wish they brought the good things from the old camera through onto this one. That would have been really, really nice. So what do I like about this camera? Well, the quality of it, it's really well built, it's really robust. All the features it's come with now are really, really good. So Runcam are definitely improving the cameras every time. There's no doubt about that. The other big thing I like is this adjustable mount. The fact that I can change it up and down is really, really good. And it came particularly useful in that gameplay you saw with me, because my rail on my SSR 90 here is actually pointed slightly up from the bore. You can kind of see it on camera. So I was able to adjust my camera to point slightly down in line with the bore, meaning the BBs were flying center down my lens. So it's really, really nice that you can actually adjust the camera up and down on this because of the mount. That was very smart thinking by Runcam. I think in the future it'd be nice to also give slightly left and right adjustment as well as up and down. That would be absolutely perfect, meaning you can just completely zero your camera in to where the BBs are flying. That would allow for less editing required afterwards when you're taking the footage up and uploading it. So I think that would be a nice feature, but Runcam, you're halfway there. It's getting very, very good. So I like that feature a lot. I like the fact that with this camera, it doesn't matter where you zoom in, the focus is very good, very sharp. It seems to get the focus absolutely perfect, which is exactly what you want. You don't want it any little bit out of focus. So they did a really good job with the optical zoom. It seems to work very nice. It's nice that they're using Type-C. Again, they've done this on their last camera as well, but it's nice that they're in the 21st century. Some products still aren't. So yeah, Type-C fitting is very good. And of course, the big one, the 1.3 inch screen. This is a massive upgrade to the camera. As I said, if it was protected, it'd be nicer, but the fact they have the screen on there is very good, but it can also act as a weak spot, as I said earlier. So next time, if they get Gorilla Glass on this as well as the front, I think they'll be absolutely nailing it out of the box. So that concludes my review video of the Runcam ScopeCam Plus. I hope everyone found it very informative and you really enjoyed it. If you did, please like, subscribe and hit that notifications button. And if you want to get your hands on this camera, check out the link in the video description below. Anyway guys and girls, I'm FoxGreen, thanks for watching and I'll see you soon.